Welcome, everybody, to the inaugural and first ever episode of Security Happy Hour by Cyber Warrior. So today, I've got two amazing guests with me. I've got Austin, who, a veteran like myself, currently works as a security analyst for a large Cincinnati-based client. Still attending school at WGU and learning the ropes as far as security and things like that go. And let me tell you, I've been mentoring this kid for a while. We've been working on Security Blue Team, and definitely a breakout star coming through. And then I've got Robbie. He is currently a systems administrator for a major metropolitan university in Memphis. Spent 6 years in IT and system administration. Now working on his MBA, looking to do big things and also break through security. Amazingly enough, I met both of these guys at Security Blue Team. What do you know? A certification about blue teamers that is hands-on coming down the pipe. So keep that in mind, that both these guys are looking to do big things. So with that being said, Austin, let's start with you. Before we get too deep into it, why don't you give us a little background about where you came from and what you're trying to do as far as what you're doing now and a little bit more in depth, and what your end goal is or what you'd like to do in the next few years.
Yeah, definitely. So I think the important part to start out in is that I really came from a military environment. I came right out of high school, straight into the military. So that's kind of like me coming into the adult world. And for the longest time, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I didn't know. So there was a lot of that. I mean, I like computers. I play my games. I do my computer stuff. But coming near the end of my contract, I had no clue. It wasn't until about the very, very end when I actually started reviewing like Security Plus material, and then really starting to just like, we're gonna do security. I even tried reclassing into 17 Charlie. Paperwork got lost. Whatever.
Tends to happen.
Then, yeah, it's the military. It happens all the time. The moving in from there, since the paperwork didn't work out, went straight into the civilian life and transitioned into the National Guard as well. Started going to school and everything, and fortunately got picked up it started out as a cybersecurity internship at Match Firm. And that's where I really learned a lot of the base fundamentals of like really getting hands-on. So it wasn't even really a SOC environment. It was just being all around. We worked with Cisco Meraki, we worked with AD, we worked with Mimecast, the secure email gateway, even products like Carbon Black and Cylance, all around, just a lot of hands-on everything. And I think that was a really great foundation for me. The CISO there, great, amazing guy, really laid a good foundation for me moving forward into my current position. Just being a security analyst currently at Capgemini. And I'm trying to take all this and then build upon it to really just get an overall understanding of all different types of security, whether it be from the IR perspective, obviously the analyst perspective, which I'm in now, doing threat hunting, forensics, and trying to really broaden my horizons. And then, as you obviously know, also trying to stretch into the red team side as well. Kind of the main goal with that, by looking at both a blue and a red team perspective, is that maybe 5 years down the road, 6, 7, when I do have a lot of experience behind me, eventually come together and then bring both red and blue to be a purple team specialist, and we bring it all together and hopefully offer something really awesome to whoever the company or client is at that point.
Nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's really a big thing, and a lot of companies I think are still missing these days is that purple team aspect of whether you have a red team and a blue team internally, and that is, you can call it a purple team collaboration effort or policy or whatever the case may be, where they collaborate and kind of arrange a better security infrastructure, or you bring in a third party to work as that purple team. And allow that collaboration. I do think that's something really big missing in companies still to this day, among other things. But that would be one of the key pieces and key takeaways that I think a lot of companies are missing. Dude, love that you're a vet. Again, I did 13 years in the military, so, props to you on that and the fact that you're still serving. I've got nothing but love for my brothers in arms. Uh, so, as far as Robbie, man, where do you see yourself? Like, where did you come from? And I see you're still doing a lot of essentially sysadmin or, IT type work. But I met you in Security Blue Team, so where'd you come from, and really what's your goals for the next few years?
So I came from being a delivery driver, getting tired of that, and then re-enlisting in college since I kind of flubbed the community college a bit. So met my wife in Tallahassee. We got married and moved up to Memphis here. So I enrolled in college, worked in nights, slinging packages at FedEx. I think you know that package handler life a little bit. Nitty and gritty. Did that. I ended up with a degree in accounting and worked a little bit of accounting for a while. And actually, I got tired of doing all the help desk and stuff for the clinic that I worked at. A lot of, like, you can turn on a computer. You're our guy, right? You know how to do everything. What's wrong with the server? What's wrong with the email? I'm like, beats me. And so I decided to look for an actual IT job, but doing that, I needed certification. So with my background in accounting and a degree in accounting, I decided to sit and study and sit from CISA, which I passed first shot. And I was like, great, I passed it. Now what do I do? Go into IT. So I found a job at a local MSP, and I was there for about almost 5 years, slinging hardware, grinding tickets, drinking from a fire hose, learning just about everything I could possibly learn. Eventually kind of just outgrew the break fix day-to-day life and wanted a more deeper system admin type role. And so I found out at a local college here that I transitioned into, and I'm primarily their exchange and exchange security engineer, if you will. So I'm doing a lot of their Teams integration for like 20,000 plus people, group-based licensing, everything under the sun that's related to Microsoft services, and a little bit of VMware too.
Nice.
And so I would like to get past that. Security has always been the backbone thing that I love the most about IT, and that's the thing that fascinates me the most. And with having a background in accounting and a stronger business focus, one reason why I'm getting my MBA is I like to just drift more to the business side of IT. Concerning security, I'd like to do the compliance side, auditing, just control that aspect of it, and try to help the guys out there that are doing the heavy security lifting, make their jobs easier.
Right. Try to get the budget approvals to come through.
Get that budget in so they can do the work they need to do and get it done and get it out. And let's make some cash, right?
Definitely. So. Yeah, man. Like I said, knowing both you guys from Security Blue Team, that's the main reason I wanted to bring you on the first episode, because the goal to what I want to do for Security Happy Hour is, not only get the real noticeable people that are in the field, right? You have your Dave Kennedys, your Jason Streets, and everything else like that. But it's the little guys. It's the guys that are just getting started that really need to make a name for themselves and let people know who they are and what they're trying to accomplish. So
third shift guys going in,
right?
Third shift guys going in.
Companies
keeping the system running.
Companies, that's been the biggest thing. And before we get into some of the current events going on, tell me, how hard has it been? Because I know when I got out of the military, trying to find a job in cybersecurity, even with the experience, the degree, and the certifications that I had, I didn't have. There was such a cluster of certifications or requirements that these companies are looking for a unicorn to do some junior level jobs and hire, where it makes it really difficult because you feel like, oh, I can't compete, I shouldn't apply. I have my own theories on how to get around that system, but does the internship help, do you think, Austin and Rob? Do you think those requirements are a detriment to what you're trying to do in breaking into the security field?
I think coming in with bachelor's in accounting, like a lot of IT guys that I've worked with, they don't have a 4-year degree. So I think they gave me a little bit of a leg up to get interviews, but that didn't solidify anything. They didn't nail anything. They still wanted your CISSP. They wanted your CISA, your CNA, your CEH, your OSCP, like all these things, and they're going to pay you $50,000 for it. I was making more than that without all that.
Right.
So why would I try to step down to that? I mean, sometimes you have to, you have to fall back to go forward kind of thing.
Right.
But that was still too far to fall back, $10,000 or $15,000 when that's a pretty necessary income at this point in my life. And a lot of the requirements, I know they're just throwing stuff against the wall and hope they can get that unicorn, like you said, come in and do it. So it's been not only, I guess, a gatekeeper, but a fear enabler that I'm not qualified enough for that. I can never do that. I can never do that type of work. And so it was kind of scary. And that's why I found Security Blue. I was like, wow, Joshua doing all the stuff that he's doing there. It's just like, it was a kind community that welcomed you in and said, hey, we can teach you, we can show you that, you can do this. And so it was nice to find that community finally that gave you that backbone to like, hey, you can do this, man.
Right.
You can do it.
Now, Austin, how did your internship and how has your military experience either been a benefit or a detriment to you getting into the security field and kind of making your path?
So I'd probably like to first start off with, I got very lucky. I'm not going to joke about that or say that, because I don't have certifications. I don't have anything. I got 2 years of experience in security so far, at best. I'm not going to say that, you need to do X, Y, and Z, and then you're still going to come up empty-handed with these job postings that Rob's talking about, where they do want these unicorns. Truth at the end of the day, I got very lucky. I want to support people and help them in their endeavors, but I don't know what's going on with me. I got lucky. But to definitely start out, I do think that my military experience, while combat arms, not really relevant to an IT field, did help me along a little bit because it does give you that exposure to the world and exposure to like people you would have never met in the first place. You don't get that kind of experience from going to college. You don't get that experience from even, taking a real job. It's something that is very, very specific to the military, and we're able to talk to other people in the military, such as yourself, and then just all of a sudden, it's that bond right there. Like, we just met, but I can have a whole conversation with you and feel like we're best of friends. Simply just because of that brotherhood that we do go through. I think that definitely helped out at my first interview with Mattress Firm, because my colleague also happened to be a vet as well.
Right.
And I think that was one of the key things that was really just like, hey, I'm a vet, he's a vet, I'm in college, he's in college, the dude's eager to learn, let's bring him on. Obviously, that internship turned out very, very quickly to really not be an internship.
We've discussed that at length.
Yeah.
60 hours in a week, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 40-hour work week on average. Come holidays, stay in the extra time, just monitoring the systems and everything, and just, being on standby for the most part. So that's why I do advertise that as not being an internship. So like on paper, I'm not going to put down internship because I was there for almost a year. I was doing a 40-hour work week. It was full time. Come on.
Right. And we've discussed that, and not to cut you off, but I think a lot of what you're talking about is relevant because I believe at length we've discussed a lot of those things where, people have asked us, hey, if I have an internship, do I put it on my resume as an internship? And I think it really depends because, like you said, you were doing 40-hour work weeks, and so you were working full time. So why put that on as an internship if you're there full time? Now, and please, I beg of you, if you have a different opinion on this, please mention it in the comments and let us know. because I'd love to take it back to the other people that I mentor. But it is of my opinion that unless they ask you, have you had any internships on your resume itself, if you were working full-time and doing full-time work and, you know, maybe you just didn't have the benefits, kind of like a contractor, you know, you just put, I was an analyst or I was an engineer, whatever the internship was. And again, me and you have discussed that, you know, in the past. And I think, you know, even people that we've talked about with in the UK with Josh and them, you know, they've all roughly said the same thing. But now let's get back to, you know, how I feel about it for a quick second, just because that unicorn concept blows my mind, right? And I know if people watch this, when they watch this, I'm going to tell them the same thing I have told you guys. If you see a job, apply. Don't look at the requirements. And I say that because the requirements sometimes are just completely absurd. Look at what the job is. If you feel you can do that job or learn that job relatively quickly, especially if it says junior, then apply. I mean, what's the worst they can say is no. So, Robbie, from where you stand, I definitely tell you that time and time again. Apply, apply, apply. If you're looking for a security job, apply for whatever you think you can do. Don't look at requirements. Don't look at, you know, what certifications are required or anything like that, because let's be honest, and I got not the job I have now, the job previous to the one I have now, you know, I was a sim engineer. Other than a tiny bit of research in the Army, I had never touched a sim. But yet I went to my last company and got hired as a senior security engineer because, A, I have a passion for security. And that's what I will always push you guys, man. If you show your passion and your willingness to learn, you'll go far. Somebody will see it. The right company will see it and will hire you and get you the training, get you the exposure that you need. But I didn't have the experience for the platform they were looking for. But I went in and I wrecked shit. I built things up. I helped out the analysts and I did things like that. And you guys can do the same thing, right? So you get those jobs. And Austin, you talk about, you know, some of the stuff that goes on now. Robbie, you've talked about some of the stuff you see. And as long as you're willing to put forth the effort and make that difference, I honestly think you guys will go far. And any company that is not willing to write a high-level recommendation, should you want to go further, is just holding you back and wants to keep you just because they know if they lose you, they're going to have to find someone else to do the same job you're doing and hope they can find someone as good. But, yeah, those recommendations are ridiculous. Sometimes they make sense, but I'm sure you've both seen GX certification. Light bulb. GX is a certification authority, not a certification. So I've gotten into calls, and I expect you guys to do the same. If they ask for a GX certification, ask which one. Do you want an analyst? Like, do you want incident handling? Do you want general security? Like, you know, security essentials? Do you want penetration testing with the G-Pen? Or, you know, what do they want? Because there's a slew of GX certifications out there. SANS is the organization that teaches it, and it's actually a SANS certification. GX is just the authority behind it. And my terminology could be wrong, but regardless, it's called GX. So, you know, GSEC, GCED, GPYC. I'm going to go through a bunch of the acronyms. At the end of the day, when I see things like GX certification, you have to wonder, do the people putting out the jobs really know what they're talking about and really know what they're looking for? And some of it's just HR. And so now to get into how to get around that. How to get around that little loophole of HR. So there are systems out there that scan through resumes looking for keywords. And yeah, you can fight the system and try to put those keywords in and hope you get through. Or, and we both know somebody who is able to get around that system. Reach out to a hiring manager on LinkedIn. Make LinkedIn your friend. Get a hold of these people. And please don't be stupid and say, and I saw it on LinkedIn recently, I saw it on Twitter, somebody legitimately messaged somebody, said, hey, I need a job doing this. That's not how you introduce yourself. Don't ever introduce yourself that way. I will slap you silly.
Right out the gate.
Both of you who I have talked to all the time, I will slap you silly if you ever say that. But no, introduce yourself. Find out more about them, the company. And I say this to whoever's watching. Introduce yourself. If it's a company you want to work for, you know, say hi, say, look, hey, this is who I am. I really like what I see about your company. Can you give me any more information? Can you give me any information about you? I saw that you've had job openings. I've submitted resumes. Don't do it all at once, please. Wait for replies. Don't send a whole freaking novel. But, you know, get a conversation going. Then bring it up and say, hey, look, I've applied several times, or I've applied once or twice. I never got a call. I never got an email. Can you please let me know what I can do to better situate myself to get in here? I'd say 60, 70% of the time, they're going to say, send me your resume. And guess what? They're still going to have you apply, but now they have your resume. They just want you to apply to be in the system. So both of you, if you're looking for work ever, do that. Make LinkedIn your bitch. Use Easy Apply. Just do it.
Easy Apply is so easy. I've actually used the recommended mentor connection thing that it uses, and I've actually had pretty good success with that. I've made some good contacts. I've made some good relationships come from that. They, tried their best to get in with certain things, but it was just, my situation was I couldn't move at the time. But I made a good connection. They're a good person. I've talked to them on the phone before. So you can make valuable contacts. It may not help you now, but it can help you later.
Yeah,
and the time comes with experience, and it's good just to have that network that you grow.
And beyond that, and Austin, you being younger than both of us, seriously, utilize LinkedIn for the platform it's meant. Now I've seen it, I wouldn't say mature, I would say devolve somewhat into a social network, but it's supposed to be a business network. That was its original intent. Use it as such, right? So I have connections. I'm not going to lie. I've randomly connected to CISOs. Why? A, because I want to see what they post. B, because if the time ever comes, I need to get a hold of one of them for either advice, mentorship, or, whatever. I have them there to reach out to. And I would, expect you guys who are trying to start growing in the field to do the same thing. If you reach out to somebody's CISOs, they will give you advice on security plans. They'll give you advice on security posture. If you find some engineers from McAfee, from Rapid7, from Tenable, from whatever, find the engineers for these companies, and they'll give you advice of the field. Find pen testers. They'll give you advice from the field. And again, you may not necessarily utilize them to get a job, but you can utilize them to get help and get mentorship. So I have told both of you, I don't know everything. I don't. It's impossible to be an expert in this field. I don't care what anybody tells you. And I'll say it on here. I've said it on Twitter. I've said it on LinkedIn. I don't care. It is impossible to be an expert in cybersecurity. The field changes too much. Malware changes all the time. We've seen a resurgence of Emotet. And I closed out of the article. I should have left that one up so we could talk about it. But we've seen a resurgence of Emotet and Quadoc or whatever they call it. But I've seen recently HTA files still being used. But we still see malware changing, right? So ransomware didn't become a thing until, 7 years ago? Maybe less? So ransomware wasn't even a thing. And now we have ransomware. Shit changes. You can't be an expert. Offensive security measures change. You can't be a fucking expert. Firewalls change. You got to now know how to bypass certain different firewalls. You can't be a fucking expert.
So I don't know if you can see this. That's my Garmin watch that was down for 6 days because of ransomware.
Exactly.
They got all of their servers, and they ended up paying the ransom to get the data back.
Oh, they're still sitting on their systems. Don't worry.
Oh yeah, they're still there. They're not gone. So
Yo, Austin, you do not move at all, man. You look frozen on my screen right now.
Do I need to like move around?
Oh, there we go. Oh, he's alive. My screen ain't frozen. We're good. Look, man, this is Security Happy Hour. It's all about having a good time. You have your beer.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You just have a good time, right? So, like, at the end of the day, I say things that I mean, and I mean things that I say. And the reason for that is this field, there are gatekeepers. There are people out there that will stop you guys from trying to better yourselves. I have been on a lot of channels and seen a lot of talk where, you know, you're going for an OSCP and people will tell you, well, try harder. They won't give you advice. Try harder is not an answer. I'm looking for a hint. Like, what am I missing? What? I've read the PDF. I've watched the videos, and still I'm missing something here. So it happens, right? I don't like gatekeeping. I'm never going to tell somebody you can't do something. I will give you advice and I will mentor you. And I expect you guys as you come up to do the same thing, right? Take people under your wing and show them what you've done, but don't be afraid to reach out to somebody. Now, saying that.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
So you've been in the field quite a while. Why do you think they do that? Like,
fear.
What's the impulse to drive that?
Fear makes people do crazy things. Because let's look at it. And it's in every industry that you want to keep that notoriety, right? So in cybersecurity, we have all these conferences. We have Black Hat, DEF CON,
I think I've seen it more in
B-Sides.
cybersecurity than anywhere else, any other field. It's like they want to keep that torch.
So you have it, and I've seen it in cybersecurity mainly because that's what I've lived for years. And the only reason I can come up with is they either A, want to keep a certain gender or race or whatever out because they're stupid, or they're so afraid of losing money from talks. So some of these guys get invited to talks on a regular basis, and if they allow other people to make a name for themselves, that is somebody that can steal their money. They see it as, or they just see it as everybody's stupid and they're the smartest people alive. But I think it's more along the lines of you're going to cut into my income, and though they may not consciously think that, subconsciously there's always a fear of something, and that is in this field. That's the only thing I can come up with is a fear of either someone making you look stupid or taking your money. Me, on the other hand, and it could be the way I was raised, it could be the military, it could be whatever the case may be, I want people to succeed. I want people... I tell my kids all the time, I want you to be better than me. I never want someone to think I'm holding them back, which is why I advise the different certifications that I do, which is why I advise, I ain't gonna lie, I'm against college. I got a 4-year degree and I'm still against college. I think it's a waste of money. At least for this field.
Some days it feels like that.
Right? In IT and cybersecurity, I think it's a waste of money. By the time you get out, you haven't done enough. Now, Austin, you're doing some things, and let's talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
You just finally made your blog go live, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited. And so here's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to tell everybody watching. In the description below, you'll have a link to Austin's blog. You will have a link
sweet. Thank you, man.
to everything I can find on these two guys that will help you out. And that'll be any blogs that they decide to write, like Austin's, as well as, if they allow it, and you can give me the yes or no right now, their Discord names. And the reason for that is I want mentorship. I want you guys to reach out to us and actually engage with us so that we can further engage with you. We want you to be involved. So that's kind of my goal, right? It's networking. Networking 101. Let's do this thing. LinkedIn. If you have a LinkedIn, we're going to put it down below. I'll put mine down there. I haven't done that yet in any of my other videos. From now on, for Security Happy Hour, it's going to be down below. But I want you guys to reach out to us. Like I said, these two guys have been my friends for probably the past, year? I think it is.
I think like it's been September.
Yeah, it's been about a year now. So, two of the best guys I've ever met. on Discord. Like, let's be honest, they really are. They really are. I see big things from these guys. So saying that, and we've seen where you came from, we see where you're at, and we see where you want to go. Well, let's kind of put some of this to the test, and let's talk about current events. All right, and let's get your take on a few things. So, me and Austin were talking earlier today, and Robbie, you missed out on it a little bit.
Oh man!
You missed the test video, man.
I'm behind.
You missed out. So now you can kind of try to get caught up a little bit. We're going to discuss this, and I don't know if you saw it, Robbie, but one of the first things we want to talk about is iOS is updating to version 14. With that, there's new privacy settings, and Facebook's getting mad, and I love it. I do. I love it. Facebook's getting mad, and the reason they're getting mad is because what iOS is implementing is protecting people's privacy by showing a warning, and you have to now opt in to ad tracking. Ooh. You actually have to opt in to selling your data. So, Facebook's mad. They're going to lose money. They're going to lose about 50% of the revenue from iOS users and things like that. But let's talk about it. As a privacy standpoint, what's your take, Robbie? Me and Austin talked earlier, and we'll talk a little bit more, but let's get your take on Facebook being mad because iOS is improving privacy and forcing users to opt in to tracking through apps.
I think it's silly to get mad when they should have expected this. Honestly, with the privacy concerns that they've had in the past, no one trusts them. And if you give your stuff away willingly, shame on you, honestly. I'm all for it. It makes me kind of want to get an iPhone now and get away from this Android, which pilfers everything out everywhere I go.
Well, look, I love Google, and that's Google for you, man. Like, I've been a huge Google supporter for years. My wife has a Google. My kids have Google. But being security minded, I have Android I have Apple. Even though I hate their communist market of the way they do things, it all has to be Apple.
Do things this way or nothing.
Right. But I do. Like I said, I agree with you in that it was coming, and I agree with you in that it is something that has been a long time coming. I mean, you look back all the way to Cambridge Analytica when Facebook got reamed out then. As much as Apple, and I'm sure they have their issues with privacy, and that's another one we're going to talk about here shortly, and with giving out information, whether it be forced or sold or whatever the case may be, I think this is a big step forward for them, right? Because everybody has been looking at, if at least I've looked at Apple as the privacy advocates, as the ones that encrypt everything. You have to unlock your phone for your data to be decrypted. And again, there may be workarounds for that. I'm sure the NSA or somebody's come up with workarounds for that. But at the end of the day, for the general consumer, it's encrypted. You can't just give it to somebody. I know. I had an iPhone. I could not switch users until I took it off of the iCloud person that it belonged to. Pain in the butt. But they've done a lot of things for privacy, for phone ownership, and things like that. So
it's a pain in the butt for a reason.
Exactly. So what with that? So you say it's been coming. What do you think is going to happen? Do you really think Facebook's going to lose out on like 50% ad revenue because they can't do targeted ads? Because that's the whole purpose, is targeted advertisement. Do you think they're really going to lose out on that much money?
I don't think it's going to be 50%. It may be like 30 or 40 at most. It's still going to be, I mean, when you're looking at this scale, it's a couple billion over the 20 to 30 billion they're going to make. A lot. It's the bottom line, shareholders and stakeholders that have investments in Facebook. But it comes down to it, I would like the chance to give you my data. I would like the chance to click on that ad myself because I find an interest in that product. And I think we've been in this model for far too long that you just get forced this information and we get to take, but you don't get to get anything from it. And I'm kind of sick of that.
And coming back to that, you said you don't get anything from it. So and again,
I've blocked a lot of things on Facebook.
right? These are things me and Austin kind of briefly like brushed over. So Austin, I'm going to get back to you and get your point of view on this. But one of the things that goes through my mind anytime I see data sharing and data sales and, you know, targeted advertising, don't you think the user should be getting something back for their data? Like why is Google, why is Facebook, why are these companies allowed to sell our data and we don't get royalties from it, right? So beyond privacy, beyond all the PII, beyond all the ad tracking and app tracking and location tracking and all the personal risk, the personal security it can cost, why is it they're allowed to sell our data, our data, but we don't get anything from it?
We click the OK, right?
Yeah, there it is. There it is. You allowed it. You said yes.
You allowed it.
And that's the thing. So that's the big thing. iPhone's going to now show a pop-up that says, hey, do you want to opt in? So, Austin, let's get your take now. All right. I've let you be quiet a little too long. And I hear you, Robbie. But
Definitely.
Let's get Austin's take because he's been quiet. How do you feel this is going to turn out? And what's your take on what they're trying to do and how it's going to change the way, whether it be Android or iPhone or Facebook, change the way business is conducted?
You know, honestly, starting at the very, very bottom, I think we need to go back and look at the NSA leaks for the most part. We know what the big tech companies are doing. If this is somebody just boo-hoo crying about it, whatever, I personally don't care. Why? Because they're still going to make their money somewhere. They're still going to find a way to slide in and then get their, more or less cut of the profits. The one thing that I'm honestly looking forward to is that this helps to try to get people more security conscious. Like we did discuss previously before this call, most users, basic, normal, everyday users don't really know what cookies even do. Or you think, okay, Cookie Monster, haha, funny. But understanding how a lot of these targeted advertisements work, these, jumping from sites to site and tracking your sessions, most users don't know about that. Right. And kind of saying that, hey, this is what they're trying to do. Do you want to allow this? It's no longer, hopefully, anyways, we'll see how this turns out. But hopefully no longer enable cookies? Yes? No? We're not going to really tell you why. Some sites do, but you don't read that. You just press accept. I just hope that more users in the future will start, actually looking at this and reading this and understanding the implications of this instead of just, blindly clicking allow, to just allow it to happen.
Right.
But in the long run, Facebook's going to find a way around it. I mean, they're going to get it one way or another. It's a free service. They're making their money somewhere. So it's unfortunate, but this is just a temporary news article. We'll see something else come up, something else to generate revenue.
So you talked about how Facebook's a free service, and you're right. It is right now. We've seen, I don't know about you guys, but I've seen things go out like, oh, Facebook's going to start charging if you don't post this on Facebook and this, that, the other. And it's been a few years since I've seen one, but I used to see them all the time. And you know as well as I do, they're not going to start charging. But do you really think that, and we're going to go to the core, the crux of the matter, do you really think Zuckerberg ever planned on Facebook remaining free where he wasn't making a profit off of people's data?
I think that was his thing from the get-go. Like, if people literally come to you to share data and they just do it, and then you're just making money off of it, I mean, from an ethics standpoint, of course, but why wouldn't you stop doing that? I mean, they're coming to you and they're generating your revenue. You're not even having to sell anything. At best, you're selling an experience, but that experience is just talking to your neighbor or showing somebody a picture.
So do we put the issue on the user or on the creator? Because if we really think about it, right, everybody, and let's be real for a second, everybody that uses Facebook on a regular basis, or Twitter, or TikTok, or whatever freaking social media platform you want to talk about, they put their entire lives on there. And then, on top of that, want to yell privacy. Time out.
That's on them.
Time out. You put your entire life on the internet. What is on the internet is always on the internet. I don't care what you do. It is permanent. Whether it be via screenshot or data backup, it's permanent. So
It's somewhere.
it's residing somewhere. So do we put the blame on the user? Now don't get me wrong, selling data without the consent of the user is a problem, is a big problem. But do we put the crux of the matter of privacy, which is what iOS is trying to improve upon? Do we put privacy on the issue of the user who shares their entire life, or do we put it on the companies that are allowing it to happen?
Coming from a perspective of individual responsibility, it shouldn't be someone else's, job to make sure that your life is private. At the end of the day, you're going to have to take personal responsibility for the fact that you just upload everything to the internet. That's not Facebook's, Google's, whoever's fault. We subscribe to it. To be quite fair, Google tracks me. I've checked my data history with them, and it blew my mind what they had on me.
It's ridiculous, man. It's unreal what they got. They got every porn site you've looked at, Austin. Let's be real.
Like how they connected some dots just scared the crap out of me. I mean, like I didn't even think that username would be connected to me now. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. It really concerned me, but I agree to that.
Exactly.
Now, in the same breath, though, what can you call really consent to approve of something? I mean, if you throw like a document at me that's literally just pages upon pages of just terms of use, user agreements, and things like that, you can't expect the average person to.
And really,
honestly,
and that's really, I think, one of the bigger issues here. And let's dig into that a little bit. Is, do you think that these companies are just taking advantage of, I don't necessarily want to say laziness, but we are all about immediate gratification. Let's be honest, humans are, as humans, especially with the internet these days and how quick we can look up information. I mean, we're not on 56K anymore where we're waiting to dial up into the internet. Granted, some people probably still are, but they're not watching this video because it wouldn't stream for them. But let's be real. With immediate gratification, do you think that these companies, especially with some of these terms and conditions, I mean, even with iOS when you go to update it, and Android and Facebook, and I get emails all the time, hey, we've updated our terms of service, please read them. Fool, I ain't got 30 minutes to read through your 1,000-page terms of service. Like, let's be honest. Do you think they're feeding off of that? Do you think they're taking advantage of that mentality of no one's going to read this?
Definitely. Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't you? You can make money off of it. No one's going to read it. You need a lawyer to read some of that stuff anyways. And you just want to look at your images. You just want to look at Instagram, Facebook, whatever have you. You're just going to press accept, log in, and then carry on.
You feel the same way, bro?
And
it's on us to read it, but we can't understand it. It's designed to cover the company through and through all these protections and guide them through a safe, secure, legal exit. But in turn, it's not a protection for you; it's a protection for them.
Exactly. It's a CYA. It's a cover your ass, is what it is.
It is. It's exactly what it is.
It's funny.
You can go and browse New Balance on on Google. New Balance. Go and create a Facebook account using your Gmail, and then suddenly you've got New Balance ads on Facebook. Like, dude, is that? I mean, Facebook's going to get in there one way or another, right?
I get ads for some of the craziest stuff. Like, let's be honest. I get stuff for security, for heck, if my son uses my computer, I get some retarded games and YouTube ads. I don't know, it's redonkulous. But it's funny though, because when we talk about these terms of service, it brings me back to a South Park episode. I beg of you not to watch it because it's really messed up, but it's about the same concept, right? So it's called Human Centipede. Again, by that title, you should know, unless you watch Human Centipede, don't watch this episode. It's really messed up.
You agree to the TOS.
But the concept is the same. You agree to the terms of service, and it's all about Apple tracking you and be able to do all these things to you. And hey, you agreed, and I lost video. Oh, there we go. All right, we're back. So if you agreed, then okay. And the question always comes down to, and through the entire episode, well, did you read the terms of service? No, who reads that? And of course, all his friends, and they're like, oh yeah, I read it. Let's be real, no one really does. And if they do, kudos. I don't. But
even if you don't accept it, you don't get the update.
Yeah, if you don't accept the terms of service, you can't get the update. If you can't get the update, then you can't get updated apps. If you can't get updated apps, eventually they don't let you use the app no more. My games are that way. Clash of Clans will not let you use it if you don't update it. So it's weird because we're in this environment where terms of service are this long, the words are this big, and they're like, hey, read all 1,000 pages. And you're like, I ain't got that kind of time. I just want to go do what I want to do. Accept.
No, just make me sign in to see my own pictures.
Right. So do we think iOS, all right, so the article we're talking about is all about iOS's, their new update is going to force people to opt in. Do you think that'll bring to light a lot of the tracking, a lot of the privacy issues that have been a problem to begin with, that have been fed into these terms of service, that now we're finally going to be able to see?
You could.
To some degree, yeah, but you'll still have those people who just accept.
Right.
And then just are completely oblivious or just don't read it, or may not even care. And that's just how it is with some things. That for obviously more security-minded people, yeah, your average person,
they're not going to care.
Wait and see. We can hope so.
We can try. We can try.
We can try.
Really
yeah.
Matter. All right. So we got about 10 minutes left. So we're going to get off of iOS 14 and the privacy matter, and we're going to talk about a different privacy matter. And this is something that came out, and it's on the Hacker News. And both of these articles, and actually, the iOS article, Austin sent me another link. I'm gonna for Mac Rumors. I'm gonna put that down below also. And then this one I'm gonna put down there, as well as Ars Technica about Facebook. But this one is about an SDK, so a software development kit used to help develop iOS applications, has been accused of spying on billions of users and committing ad fraud. So what does that mean? So we're talking billions of users. Billions with the B, billions. 1,200 apps. So a popular, we're going to look at the first sentence that says, a popular iOS software development kit, SDK, used by over 1,200 apps with a total of more than 1 billion mobile users, is said to contain malicious code with the goal of perpetrating mobile ad click fraud and capturing sensitive information. Now, recently there's been things about TikTok and TikTok sending information to China and stealing all your phone creds, and I yell at people all the time, get rid of TikTok because it's a garbage app anyways. At least that's my opinion. But according to a report, and again, this is from the Hacker News, according to a report published by cybersecurity firm Snyk, Mintegral, a mobile programmatic advertising platform owned by Chinese, once again, mobile ad tech company Mob Vista, includes an SDK component that allows it to collect URLs, device identifiers, IP address, operating system version, and other user-sensitive data from compromised apps to a remote logging server. So let's think about that for a second. TikTok's already been yelled at, right? Trump has gone online and said we're going to ban TikTok. Now, really, is that legal? It's a whole different can of worms, and that's Trump. We're not going to get into politics. But looking at this from a security perspective, a privacy perspective, how do we go about with 1,200 apps? 1,200. Let's think about that number. 1,200 apps are utilizing this SDK. How do we fix that problem? And what is truly the impact on privacy and on security? Go.
I'll let you go first, Rob.
So we have 1,200 points of entry that have got billions and billions of your data. It's gone. It's already gone. Bought and sold already, right? So how can we stop it? Apple's usually pretty good about vetting their iOS store, which I was very surprised that this code.
That's why I'm surprised. That's why I bring it up. iOS is like I said, it's a communist market. It seriously is supposed to take some vetting.
But now I diverge it to the fire underneath the click OK to have your data mined. Now they've got a little bit of extra fire to say, see, we don't trust apps. You can trust Apple, but you can't trust apps, kind of thing.
Which makes sense. And again, that comes back to what we were talking about just before with Facebook, having that ad tracking, having that added in. But do you think these developers for these applications that use this SDK, do you think they even had it in their terms of service that they were doing ad tracking because maybe they didn't know via this SDK that it was doing it? So do we put that on the developer of the app? Do we put that on the... I mean, it's on the SDK. We already know that. But do we put that on Apple for a privacy issue? It's 1,200 apps. You'd think they'd have known by at least number 5 or 10.
Yeah.
We got up to 1,200. But do we put that on them, or do we put that on the creator of the app that didn't realize what was happening with their data? Where does... I don't want to say blame, but let's be honest. Where does the blame lie in that matter of this corrupt SDK being able to propagate so far?
It's going to be scaled, really. I mean, obviously the original deepest blame goes with the company that's releasing this SDK, this horrible product. But now you've got these developers that are, hey, this is a product I would like to use to build my app. But they didn't vet it properly. They didn't examine it properly. They didn't monitor their networking properly.
Supply chain is always a problem, and that's across everything. Supply chain's huge.
7, 8, 9, 10 firewalls. The HVAC guy is going to get ransomware in there. I've had people be extremely secure, but it was the audio-visual guy with the admin account that got phished his email. They logged in with the remote desktop and ran everything.
We've seen supply chain. Supply chain's always an issue. So this is a supply chain issue. This is the application company didn't vet the SDK, right? So the app developer didn't vet the SDK properly. But then on top of that, Apple didn't vet the entire process the right way.
Exactly.
Why do you think it took this long? Because let's be real, if a application developer is using an SDK that has hit billions of users, not a few thousand, not a million, but billions of users, and I really wish I would have seen the apps that they're using, but they didn't release them yet, and I think that has to do with responsible disclosure, so don't quote me on that, but I think that's what it has to come down to, is why those apps weren't released. Why do we think it took this long for a cybersecurity firm to see this, right? What really was the trigger point? And if we look through, it can hijack user ad clicks, so it'll send you somewhere else or get different data. Collects more data than necessary for ad click attribution. We already talked about that with the IP addresses and personal information. And of course, the company's released a statement denying the SDK allegations. So, like I said, we're going to put the whole thing down below, but just for the fact of what we're talking about, even with the denial, even with what's going on, where do we see the privacy kind of coming into play? Like, is this on the user? Is it just the whole supply chain? How do we fix this?
I'm not going to try to be that guy, but let's get to the root of the issue. It's becoming more and more apparent that we can't trust China. I mean, this is a Chinese-based company, and they released this SDK. And obviously, we don't know the apps, so we can't speak so quickly. But we see where the root of this issue is coming, and we know that China has historically just nixed our apps for obvious reasons, because we know what our government does,
Right.
and then we know what China does, and we need to understand that fundamentally.
So do we think that SDK was a backdoor into the system? Because if we look at it, and let's be real, every country spies on every country. So we're not going to get into the politics of espionage and all that other fun stuff.
Yeah, it happens.
But if you look at it, do you think this was China's way of trying to backdoor it and kind of get around the whole, they might deny my app, but if 1,200 apps are using my SDK, then nobody's going to know type of deal?
Like that's honestly pretty smart. Like, instead of just one app, why not make the app platform?
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone builds off your platform. I mean, that's genius. If everyone's building off your platform, they can't come back and blame you unless like something like this gets found out. So it'll just be like don't download this app, it's bad.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to think, oh yeah, don't touch the whole SDK. The whole thing does this. And it's 1,000 apps that are doing it now.
Right.
Look at the service that's providing it. It's a service.
Right.
They're not injecting a malware. They're not trying to fish some government official. No, they're providing a service that seems fairly legitimate and lets users and developers develop legitimate apps off of. It's just that there's an attachment to it. So
it's everything. There's always a catch. There's a catch to everything. So
espionage is
I love it. You guys have been great, and I think that privacy is going to be huge going forward. And one last time before we go, I'm going to let you guys get a minute in, so 30 seconds each before I announce who's coming on next week. And it's big news, I love it, of who's coming on next week for our second episode. But please, in 30 seconds, just give me a rundown on your thoughts of the current state of cybersecurity, regardless of what it is, and any other information you want to put out there and get out to the world. Please give me that rundown. And let's start with, Austin, you haven't talked enough, so let's start with you.
Alrighty, so 30 seconds. I think the current state of cybersecurity, we're getting there. It's taking time. It takes resources, but, we're getting there. Let's keep it up. Let's keep the momentum. Let's keep, trying to stay on top of things. I guess the one thing to really throw out to people who would be watching this to kind of maybe get some helpful insight is be confident. I mean, even if you're really not that sure, hide it with confidence. And that's the biggest thing to help get you around everything. Just try to be confident.
And that's big words. I've said that imposters. Look, I got a video. Please go back, look at my other videos. I've heard you got to turn up the volume on imposter syndrome a little bit, but go back and look at that one, or look at mentorship. I talk about these things. I talk about being confident in who you are. Look, this guy right here. You see this wall behind me? There's more certifications than you can see. I suffer from imposter syndrome. I go through it. But I realize where I was and where I am. Confidence is key. Austin hit the nail on the head with that one. Kudos. Robbie, you're up. Let's go.
Can't beat that. I can't beat that. Confidence. The state of our union, really, we're getting stronger week, but we're getting stronger every day. New guys are coming in. New girls are coming in. I think the bridge is widening and more people are crossing. And thank God, because we need the manpower. We need the woman power. We need it all. If we had more people, maybe we could find this SDK quicker. Right.
Right.
So just have that fear of the unknown, but use that to push you. Use it. You're not going to escape the fear, so use it. It's just like anger. It's a secondary emotion. Use it for good. Don't let it cripple you.
And that makes sense.
We're here to help, man. We will walk that lonely ice bridge together.
And look, that makes sense. And you said one more thing in there, And I should have said it earlier, and I didn't, and I apologize. And you said men or women, and I will say this right now, and I don't care. And I think this is part of the gatekeeper's problem. I don't care. I don't care your race, sex, religion, male, female, whatever you want to call yourself. I don't care. You bring something to the table. Look at me. You bring something to the table. Everybody has a different mindset. Everybody has a different culture they came from and a different way to approach things. If you do not let everybody sit at the table, you will miss something. You will. Quit being stupid. Quit trying to gatekeep and say, oh, you're a female, you can't be here. You're black, you can't be here. I don't give a damn.
Yeah, let's get on board. Let's do this.
Let's do it. Let's include everybody, because I guarantee you are missing out on some very, 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 very bright people by trying to exclude others. We are online. This is the goddamn internet. You can be anonymous, but nobody should have to be in terms of who they are as a person. Diversity is important. I like veterans. I like non-veterans. I like male. I like female. All in cybersecurity together, because at the end of the day, we can make this something. We got to get ahead of the attackers. We have to get ahead of them. And right now, blue teams and security professionals are behind the goddamn 8 ball. We're always going to be behind because our hands are tied. We can't go outside the law. They can, but we can see what they do, and we can see what changes they make. So let's stay ahead of the 8 ball by including everybody. And I will leave you with this. Got two very special guests next week. Shannon Morse from Threatwire and Davin Jackson, who is the owner of Alpha Cybersecurity, another fellow veteran. And he is doing big things for the community, as is Shannon, as always. And I think you guys are going to love next week. So please, I beg of you, join me again next week. Watch this video, watch next week's video, and I'm going to keep continuing and bringing more people on. So, I am Cyber Warrior. We've got Austin over here. We've got Robbie down below. I'm going to put all the contact information that they allow me to put in for them down below, as well as the links to the articles. So, this is Security Happy Hour. We're signing off.